Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Thank you for tuning in. You have tuned in to the Ties That Bind. My name is Paula Percival, and I am your host and my co-host. We're in today, James and Tiffany. We're in after the holidays. It seems like it's just been forever since the last time we spoke to you. I have had, and we jumping in because we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we want to say hello and put our prayers out to the people that are on furlough and on this shutdown or whatever they're calling it now. Our prayers are out there with you, and we just wanted you to know that we're with you. We got you. And so I am here. We're talking today about how do I say this? We're still in holidays. I haven't even left the holidays. It's just like it's just been a long holiday weekend from the time that I got there on the 24th to now. So we're going to talk about our holiday, Christmas, whatever you want to call it. The 24th on up to the New Year. And so I'm going to have my co-hosts here, James and Tiffany. I'm going to turn it over to them so they're going to introduce themselves, and we can go in from there.
Hello, everybody. I'm James, and I'm known as The Bridge.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tiffany. I'm known as The Strategist.
Yes, we're there. And, yeah, of course, you know, by now I don't even have to introduce myself. I'm the storyteller. I'm a talker. We could just put that in a nutshell. Okay, so we're going to start talking about our holiday that we started on the 24th, really. I think, Tiffany, yours started on what? You got there on the 22nd of December?
Yes, we got there, I believe it was the 22nd. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, of course, James was already there. We celebrated at James' house. It was, I don't know when we started. Had the shutdown started?
Oh no, it was after Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, it was after Christmas.
Because I know I had we went with a airline. I went with an airline that I had never heard of before. But it was cheap, and it was cheap for a reason. So we're going to that later. But the holidays, it was a blessing. It was more than what you could have ever expected. And what we were doing, this is something new that we've done because all of a sudden we realized that myself and my sister Stephanie and then my brother Reginald, we are the, what do you call them? We are the wisdom now. And so now, because the heads are gone. My dad is gone. He's passed. You hear us talk about that all the time. My mother is gone. My grandmother is gone. My uncles are gone. And so now we're trying to make sure that the legacy that they passed down to us, that we don't let it go without notice. And a lot of it, what I realized, I can't speak for James and Tiffany, that a lot of it, because they sheltered us from a lot of things that were going on, and they did a lot of stuff that we thought it was easy, and it is not easy. And so, what did you all think? How did when it started? Was it strange to you? How did it feel?
Yeah, you could say it wasn't just strange, but it was kind of foreign because we don't do it all the time. We don't get together all the time, and when you put minds together like that, everybody has a different personality. So I guess it's because everybody's not around each other like that. There's always some type of, I want to say, confusion.
Right.
And so it's like a lot of button heads. is what I got from it.
You gotta have to.
Yeah.
Because we're always so out there. We're always so animated all the time. I didn't see it as any confusion. I just saw it as another day. This is how it is. It's just.
Well, I think that. Am I muted? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
I just heard you.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think that it's like we had to relearn each other a little bit because some of us haven't seen each other in over 20 years. Some of us. So we had to relearn how to be in the same space because we don't all have that same gregarious personality. Some of us are more mild than others. So, it was kind of like renegotiating of the space and trying to relearn. And, some people who were children are now adults. And, people who were young adults are now considered, the family elders. So there's like a different dynamic that we had to learn how to negotiate. So it was a little bit strange in the beginning, but I think we found our way through it pretty easily. But it was a little bit, I won't say tense, it was just different.
Yeah, it was strange. I felt it because most of the time I didn't realize that Daddy and Maria, yes, I call my mom Maria, but they had the rhythm that had going on. And, we were acting as children, and you didn't know up until when you thought you were, like you love to say, we were grown. You were acting like you thought you were grown, but you weren't. You were still acting as children there. And all of a sudden you realize it's the holidays. Who's going to do what? What's going on? Who's cooking and whose house are we going to be at? And what are we doing? What do we do to, what is the word? To give honor to the ones that were here that started this thing. How do you do that? And once it started, because it was a long, I was supposed to be there the early morning. I think I was supposed to be there at 6. I was supposed to land at 6 or 7. No, I think I was supposed to land at 9 a.m. And I ended up didn't get there till like 9 p.m. And because of the I'm not gonna talk about the airline. The airline that I went, I heard somebody talking about it on a comedian show. I didn't know. I had never heard of it before, and they were just like, and all y'all who's flying, I know you ain't gonna get that till next month. Something he said, I was like, whoa! I said, everybody having the same. He said, you may get there on Friday, but you ain't gonna leave till Sunday. They were laughing about that, and I was just like, okay, it wasn't just me. But then when we got there, it was good to see everybody. It was, even though it was short, I felt like it was short time, but I think it was, how do you say? It was meaningful.
Yeah.
So, because I don't think it was. And then I ended up, I know I did. Well, no, when it was all said and done, I think Tiffany and I spent the same length of time. It's just Tiffany got there before I did, and I left after she left. It was just like everybody, they staggered in and staggered out and staggered back in. We played our games. We ate. Oh, my God, I ate till I almost fell on the floor. We ate, and we went to see the thing that really struck me, that really took me aback was the African American Museum.
Oh yeah,
oh my God,
I missed that. I started going when y'all did that.
Yeah, It was.
I mean, I had actually, Chris and I went when we were visiting there for Thanksgiving. We went.
Yeah, I was speechless. Now that was a very seldom in my speechless. I could not. It wasn't like I wasn't angry. I was, yeah, a little sad. I was a little disconcerting, but it was more thoughtful than anything else. And so it was, I didn't expect what I got when I got there.
Mhm.
So when you all went, what did you feel?
So when I went there, first of all, it's one of those things where, like, you know, I've been to pretty much all the Smithsonian museums over the years, and it's, you know, you can pretty much kind of mindlessly wander through them. You can pay a little bit of attention here and there, you know, that's okay. You know, you catch what you catch. But really, to do it justice, it will take you at least like 4 visits. Right. You know, because there's just so much. It's so detailed, and there's just so much that in order to do it justice, you really need to take your time. You know, I think it was like 3 or 4 floors. I can't even remember how many floors.
Yeah,
it was.
I think it was
4 floors.
You need to dedicate, you know, pretty much a day per floor.
Yeah.
Now, they trap you in there because you go in and you have to go all the way down to the basement, and there's only one way up, and that's to walk through it. So it's hard to pass by all that stuff and not want to stop, but you really just can't take it all in one trip.
Right.
Right. Yeah,
that was my biggest takeaway of just how much there is. But there's a lot that we're never told. There's a lot of stories that we were never told, and you know, I think it's really important. When I was there with Chris, we saw a lot of school groups, and so you know, high school groups, like high school, middle school age kids. That were there on like field trips, and I thought it was really awesome that they were able to see a piece of that history, because you're talking about multicultural children that are seeing this history that's almost forgotten, because you know the story they're trying to tell today is that, you know, these things never really happened or didn't happen the way they, you know, the way we want people.
Right.
So they're trying to. I don't want to. They're not erasing history, but whitewashing it, I guess. So these are things that children, you know, that are teenagers now, they haven't heard.
Yeah, and it's not just the Caucasians it's not just different races that haven't heard. I think the people from other countries that were there when I was there, but it was what struck me so was that it was our children that really didn't know a lot of it. When we were there, there were they had a lot of Africans there. They had a lot of Asians there. I think that word Asian is not something they want to hear. It was like you had a lot of people from different countries that were there, and what struck me was that they knew our history just as well as we did, and they were just like. But the thing was, it wasn't something that you went through there and started talking, because I wanted to talk to people, but it was just like, at that point, I couldn't say anything. It was just like...
Right.
But
and, you know, the mood was very somber, so it's almost disrespectful to try to have, you know, in-depth conversations with people, because the mood, it creates a very somber, serious mood.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's missing, even when you do hear about, you know, American slavery, and when you hear about that stuff, you know, that it's almost like a fairy tale, but they really captured the somberness of it. Like when you're walking through the hull of a ship that's actually made from the actual wood from the actual ship that brought our ancestors over here. You know, it was very somber.
Right.
It was almost like, if you've ever been to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, it's that kind of a feel for a soldier when you're there, and, you know, there's so much rich history, and you know that you're standing on someone's tomb. You know, there's a certain awe and a certain respect and a certain silence that comes over you.
Yeah, because it really, it took me aback that I remember I went over to one exhibit, and they were showing the things that how debilitating that they made it be. They were less than animals. You know, the things that they had around their necks and the red things. But then I went to another little thing, and I was looking, I was just like, what is this? And they had little slavery, what do you call, little baby cuffs to put on the baby. The little things that like, and I was just like, oh my God! I mean, how cruel, how
because where's the baby gonna go? The baby's not gonna go anywhere. It's not going.
Exactly. And I'm just like, what do you think they're gonna? What is it that you think? And it wasn't. And then you start to understand that it wasn't about. It was all about breaking the people down. It was all about letting you know who and what you were. It was all about making you think, letting you letting you know what they wanted you to be. You know, it was all about what is the word? It was a mental thing.
It was not just physical slavery. It was set on the ground for the spiritual and mental slavery as well. It wasn't just physical.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's to totally break you down all together. I mean, for like you said, for all basis of who a human being is supposed to be, they want you to feel like that you are below that.
Right.
Even that
you are meaningless. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so it really does break it down like that, and it's kind of, I mean, it's sad. Like when I went there, like I said, it is a whole lot of information. So anybody decides to go there, just be prepared to not. You can't take it all in. There's no possible way for you to take it all in. By the time you get to the end, you're just like, oh, I had enough. I really had enough. Like my brain can't take any more. I mean, even just the first few little hallways that you walk down.
Exactly.
It's just so much. You can spend all day on that one hallway alone, and that's all on the first floor. You know,
yes.
It's really
I did
that
not
deep.
leave the basement. I went to the basement, and I went to the first floor. And when I got to the first floor, there was so much stuff. We spent 3 hours on just the basement, the first and second floor. We didn't go any further. We couldn't, and even at that, you couldn't have. It was so much in the feeling. It was so. Oh, how do you say? It was so thick. It was the spirit, a part of it, and it was just to see it and to realize that these were, and you really, after everything that they had gone through, when you got to the second floor and they're going to college, you would have never seen, you could never see what they had, the suffering and the things that they had gone through. You couldn't see it on them. It was like, you would think that, you know, they were, that when they were still going to be, they had their, I mean, they were not going to have their hair not done. They were going to do this, that, and the other. They looked intelligent. They looked sophisticated, and they were very intelligent. And they had more then than we have now.
Right.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that there was a specific quote. You know, they had a bunch of quotes from different people from all aspects of slavery. So, you know, you have people, you know, actual slaves, you had slavers, you had people who were capturing slaves, you know, the wives of the slave traders. And there was this one quote that really stuck out of my mind. It was from a white colonial wife whose husband was a slaver. And, you know, she said that to think of, and I'm quoting, so if I misquote, you know, forgive me. But she was saying that it's hard to even fathom the atrocities that these people are suffering, but in the end, you can't go without your sugar. So when you think about the cost of the value of a human life, you see the things that are going on. You see the children and women and people who are dying of illness, who are being beaten to death, separated from their families. But this sugar is so valuable to you that you'll trade that for a life.
Right. And cotton. And just
because it's bringing them in money. I mean, that's what the slave trade was based off of. Was they basically building a new economy. They're really making a lot of money off of the slave trade. You know, you can see. I mean, they're still prospering off of that whole thing now. Like all the farmers, you know, these are a lot of people that control a lot of these big businesses here. You know that their kids are still eating off of. You know. Right.
You're right.
Yes, and a lot of it, and that's why you see a lot of, and I'm not trying to. This is just fact. You see a lot of people afraid because they think that they're looking at one. You think that someone's going to do to you what you did to them, but it's not that. It's not going to be that. But when you're in that frame of mind, that's all you can see. And even now, if we were to look at it, if we even look at this shutdown that we have now, it's all about the money. everything is your life is really tantamount to what you have in your pocket. And if we don't get to the point where we see that, since this is another form of slavery, if we don't get to the point where we see that, there's a movie that I was going to tell you all about. We really need to watch it because I haven't watched, not a movie, I say a movie, but it's a series. And I just saw the previews of it, but it's called American God.
Mm-hmm.
And they just had, a few things there, but it was just like, when they came here to this new country, when they came to America, they brought us with them. He said, but now we have new God. And I was just like, and they're trying to destroy us. And I thought, wow.
Yeah, that was a real good show. That show was, I've seen that. It's a real good show, American Gods. Yeah, because, I mean, I don't want to get too religious on it, but when you look at, especially in that particular show, I'm going to get off of this real quick, but everybody that died. Okay, never mind. Okay, I'm not going to spoil it. All right, so, but on that.
I want to know a little bit.
No, I mean, we can talk about it offline. Yeah.
Okay. You gotta be fair to your listeners. You don't want nobody boycotting us because we spoiled their show.
Yeah.
But I think it's worse.
Yeah, they cut it off. It's not even on air anymore. They had one season. They took it off air. But it was really good show.
Yeah, it's getting ready to come back on.
When? I heard it was off air because that show. Well, it don't matter. We'll come back to it later. We'll talk about it. Let's get back to the holidays.
Keep me on my agenda here. But we went off of, but this was all a part of going to see the museum was after the Christmas, but we ended up, I think Tiffany cooked, and we had different types. We had all kind of cakes. We had every food known to man there. And we ate and we sat there and we talked. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say except chitlins, but go ahead.
You what?
I said we had every food except for chitlins. Go ahead.
Oh yes, that's good. I don't even know whether we even know. That's the stinkiest thing I've ever had.
They ain't stinking my house up. Nope. Messing my house up.
I remember them cooking them things, and they would stink for days. And I don't care. I mean, and then it would go and get them, and they literally would go out there in the backyard and get a hose pipe and squirt through the chitterlings, the intestines. Let's just call it what it is, and to clean them out. And I don't care what you did. I don't care what you put in it. It stunk to high heaven, and it was just. And that was not even part of my thought, trying to get some chitlins. But a lot of people love it. But I'm not into the pig regardless, because like they said, they eat from the oink to the poop chute, and that's what they really do. And so we had that. We played, Tiffany, you weren't there. We played Monopoly. Oh, my God, talking about cutthroat. We played Monopoly. We played some other games. James played his game. And I was watching them. I was like, now I know my brain can't get into this. Because like I said, I never leave it. I stick with my Mario. The dogs were so happy. So it was just, everybody was just, I think we missed one person. And I thought we had missed her. Well, we sort of missed her, but she ended up calling in and saying that, I think she ended up having a car accident. But everything was a blessing. We had some big shoes to fill, but it was still a little somber. It was because when you looked around, you knew that Daddy them weren't there. That Daddy, I don't care what you did, Daddy was going to take it over the top. If you started something, he was definitely going to finish it. He was taking it over the top before you finished it. And It's just you didn't have that wisdom that. I don't know, what would you all call them? We keep wanting to call them the wisdom, but what do we want to call them? Hello?
I don't know. I don't know, yeah.
It's because just to say that is just to put them in a one little sector, but it's so much bigger than that. But I could almost if you sat there long enough, I think that's why we started talking a lot. You could almost feel them in the room.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it's really for me. That's what it's about, having family there, so you can kind of revisit those old times and kind of see how the family shaped, or how your ancestors kind of shaped the family into what it is today.
Yes.
So I think it's important. Like I said, I believe in keeping the name of your loved ones alive.
Right.
Because it still brings their spirit about the whole thing within the whole place.
Right.
So it's not like that I mean, they are totally missed. Don't get me wrong. They are missed, but they're not totally gone, in my opinion.
Yeah, because you could. I mean, literally, we're saying this, and I know it seems strange, but it was almost as though they were there. When we were sitting there playing Monopoly, it was almost as though they were my mother. Now, so she was a cheater at Monopoly. She found ways that no one could think about how to cheat in Monopoly. She meant she was not going to lose. But, and then we had LP and Steph, and then it's just like everybody had a different personality, and it was just, and you sat there, and then it was hard for me I got into it, I wanted to get into it, I wanted to make it exciting for them, for the ones who wasn't a part of that. It's just like everybody got a different part of Mother and Daddy, and who didn't have that part of Mother and Daddy when we would play the games and we would go and we would do all this stuff. And so I wanted to bring that to life, but it was sort of hard to stay there because it was almost sad. You almost made you cry because they weren't there. But you knew they were there, but it was like they weren't physically there.
Right. But I feel, this is just my own personal belief, and I feel that whenever your loved ones that are gone on, when they're heavy on your heart and they're in your mind, it's because their energy is around you. That life energy never passes. And I feel like that when you feel that way, it's because they're around you. And, it's good to honor them. And I agree with what James said. Just say their name and honor them in that way.
Right. Because you can't, that's, and I think because mine thoughts that, go ahead, I'm sorry, James, what were you going to say?
No, I'm just saying, I mean, we know that this is life. And we know that people we're going to live and we're all going to die.
Right.
When it's all said and done. So, you have to accept it for what it is. And that's why I'd rather not mourn a person like that.
Right.
I'd rather see what good that they actually brought to me. So like I said, like Tiffany was just saying too, because that energy is around you.
Right.
And their energy affects how you go through your life day to day. Right.
Right.
So
that's true.
How you use the energy is going to be up to you though. So that's why I say look at things in a positive manner. Because that brings honor to who they were or who they are currently to you.
Right. Yeah. Because a lot of things, I think my somberness of it was that we took so much for granted. I can only speak for myself. I took a lot of things for granted that they didn't allow us to go through, that I'm seeing now, but it's not like you're in the midst of it, but you could have been. I had friends who really were in the midst of it, and they couldn't get out of that Jim Crow era and that thing what they were trying to make you be and blah, 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 blah. But if you think about it, it was, I don't think, and we talk about race and stuff now, but do you all remember this? I don't ever remember us talking about race at the house with Mother and Dad.
I remember it vividly. I'm just gonna be honest. It was always on the table.
It was like it's like a cornerstone. it was like a cornerstone of everything that we talked about.
We were talking about like in a hatred way. It was like
that's debatable.
Well,
yeah.
Tell me what
it's very debatable.
Well, okay. Here's my opinion. You want to hear it? Here you go.
Here you go. Yes.
I feel that this is my opinion. Some folks are going to be upset about it, and that's okay. You can call me offline. I feel that a lot of our family members have very bigoted opinions about other races, and mostly white people. And I understand, okay, because I see, Alabaster, I see that there's literally a railroad tracks, and I see that there's literally one side of the railroad tracks and the other side of the railroad tracks. Yeah. I understand that. But a lot of our family members have a very hard time breaking out of that mindset.
Right.
And realizing that the world is bigger than black and white.
Right.
But a lot of, like 90% of the conversations either started as a discussion about race or have some fact about race thrown into it. And I think you hear it so much that you don't realize it. But for instance, James and I didn't grow up with that, so I think it is more prevalent. We hear it, I think, more than other people in the family hear it. Like we recognize it because we didn't grow up under it like that. Right.
But did you actually hear Daddy talking about race, and Maria talking about race?
No,
I won't say.
My grandfather used to say. I know my grandfather used to say. He said it's not that I dislike white people. He said, but I pay very close attention to them. Something along those lines.
Yeah, he said he just think about them a lot.
They think about them a lot. There you go. That's what he said.
He said what now?
He said not that I dislike.
But it's not that he didn't like white people. He just think about them a lot. And he's a man of very few words. So for him to say that,
right?
Yeah, I mean, we would talk about it, and we never see a lot of stuff that we grew up with. I didn't. How do you say? Like the Negro Digest. Y'all look at. I mean, these kids don't even know anything about that. We grew up with stuff like that. We grew up reading this stuff, so it wasn't like it wasn't as though it didn't exist. They didn't make it seem like, oh, it's just you that's doing this. If you just do what you're supposed to do, that I never heard Daddy and Mother say anything like that. They always wanted us to be the best that we could be, and whatever we want to do. And he was just there. Now I remember him telling us, I don't care how good you are, you have to be 3 or 4 times better than any other white person. And we grew up like that. And they weren't going to allow us to just take it and just be oh, okay, we got this, we got that. No, you get as much as you can. Now, that I do remember. Now, then you had Uncle Charles. He had his own story, his own thing about it, because they had actual. I grew up with Caucasians as friends, and it was like, and I remember it would always make them almost cringe when they would see us together, because it was like they didn't trust it, even though we had them in our houses all the time. It's because they were long-time friends. See, it was they were friends that had stood the test of time with them. It
right,
was
and like I said, and I understand that too, because he is from a different era, and life was very different than what it was for you all, and certainly what it is for what it was for James and I growing up.
Right.
So it's not that we don't understand it, but because we didn't grow up in Alabaster, we just visited every year, maybe a couple times a year. Because we were sort of outsiders in that respect, it's like we could see it more clearly than people who are there every day.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's true. It was. I don't know. I didn't start paying attention to it. I know I had a teacher once. I realized with my Caucasian friends, when something happened, if they chose to be white in that situation, they was gonna be white. It was just they were gonna. When I say that, they were gonna go with the status quo, and it was hard to break.
I get that. I get that because that still happens now. So I mean, it's like I understand the grounds of that, but I mean, it was talked about in the house. Often.
Yeah,
all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
Well, good. Because I know I would. Because I don't think it was just like Daddy didn't really want me to talk about it. I would do it, but because I had a different respect for it than they did. Because you're talking about, because I was always talking about it. Daddy would do the roundabout thing, talk about it. But see, I wasn't covert with my stuff.
Okay.
I mean, really. I mean, I never. It was like we would watch news and we would say what was going on in the news. I don't know. I guess I thought about it as just being matter of fact. They were just facts that we were talking about. These are things that just happened. So maybe that's so. I don't. That's different. That's a different way of looking at it. I never. And so then I wonder how did Danielle and Regina got to the point where they were. You know what I'm saying? That there was just they thought it was the bee's knees. Then you couldn't get no better than when you get to a certain level with them. It was something totally different with them.
Yeah, because it springs off with talks like that in the household. When you're always looking at, and I'm just going to be frank, we're always looking at white people being in a better position, or you're always saying, white people think they're better than us. That mentality turns into, these people are better than us.
Right.
So in order to get to, you start believing that within yourself.
Right.
So, it's hard to get out of that because now, like I said, it's a system, and I think we're probably doing more damage to ourselves than any outside forces are doing to us.
Right.
So if you can kind of break that whole mentality of, hey, what I'm saying, these people are better than us, and just be like, what can I do? What am I good at? And you start focusing within yourself, within your own family members. I think a lot of that can go away.
Right. Instead of trying to compete like we said from the very beginning, trying to compete in a system that wasn't designed for us to even participate in, let alone win.
Right. I guess my thought was a little different because I never thought they were better. I never thought that that I had to compete with them because I knew that I had what they had and then some. I never thought about it like that. And I guess that is
it's not you, but you could have 4 or 5 people growing up in the same house, and all of them come up with different ideas of what's going on around them.
Yeah.
And you can see that just looking at you and your siblings. I mean, James, I can see that looking at you and your siblings. You all grew up in the same household, but you all came out very differently.
Right. True. That's true. I guess it's the way you see things. I guess I never really gave it a whole lot of thought until you all just said that just then. I never, because I was always in my own world for the better part of it. Because if I wasn't going, I didn't like conflict. I wasn't going that thing of joking and stuff. It took me a long time to joke. The joking stuff, I took that kind of stuff really, really seriously, and it was so I would disconnect myself from that. And if that's what you want to be, guess what? I'm going to be over there. And I saw things totally different. But it is, gosh, that's a whole thing to talk about right there. I never thought about that. And it's just like everybody has a different way.
Right, and even though you all grew up in the same household, you still had different experiences, and there's still, a little bit of, not a huge age gap, certainly not a huge age gap, but when Reggie and Regina were kids, I was in the house when I was a child. Reggie and Regina still lived there, so that meant my mother was already grown and out of the house. So you guys had a different dynamic than what she and you had. Right.
That's true. I guess so, and I guess I don't know, because my whole thing was that's your sister and that's your brother, and because Regina she did not want to drive. I mean, when she was going to when she wanted to go to college, she still didn't want to get her driver's license. And I'm just like, Dad was like, well, you got to take care of her. I was just like, Dad, but I can't take care of her till I take care of myself. Well, you know what? That's right. That's true. I'm just like, and it's just, but Regina, if Daddy had to make her go and get her driver's license. So I guess we did see things totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think about that. That's a whole other subject. And so
it is. It definitely is.
Yeah, it really is. You just see it, and you're in your own little world for the better. I was in my own little world for the better part of it, because if to me, I was almost like Spock. If it didn't make sense, we didn't have no discussion. I couldn't go there with you. That's illogical. That doesn't make any sense. So I would just disconnect and just be. My mind would go somewhere else. It's like I was telling you that I was talking to somebody one day, and they were talking. I can talk to you. We can have a conversation. We can laugh. We can talk. But it's got to be going somewhere. It's got to have some type of depth to it. Not just to be laughing just to be laughing, or joking just to be joking. I disconnect from stuff like that. And it was, I love hearing Uncle Charles them tell their stories, but when it got to a point where it was nothing there, it was just laughing because they were laughing at somebody, I would get up and walk away. I would get up and I would do something else. My mind was somewhere else. So everybody's personality is, everybody has their own little gift.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even think about this stuff. Even though I saw you all with your own personalities, because you all were, even though y'all were like thick as thieves, you and James, when I say you all, I mean you and James, but your personality and his personality were night and day.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I don't know. And you still do the same thing. I remember, I was telling you, we were coming in, I heard you sitting there saying, Pete the fish. And I'm just like, what is she talking about? And I saw you standing over the fish tank. And I thought you were just joking. And as I turned the corner, you were feeding the fish. The fish tank looked like oatmeal. You had put so much fish food in there. But it was the same thing when when we were making the frosting for the cake, and you were saying, let me see what that tastes like. You kept tasting it, but you really weren't you didn't know what you were tasting for. You were just doing what I had done, and by the time you finished, it was just a salt lick. I was what I did. What I did, I couldn't take the salt out of it, and James loved to eat. James loved to play games. James never met a stranger. I don't care, whenever James comes to the house, if there was another boy, if there was a boy next door and he wanted to play, guess what? He was going over there and they were going to be friends and they were going to play.
That was his friend. Every boy he thought was within his age was his friend.
Yeah. House and licking his fingers and stuff. I was like, what? He just came over here. We had spaghetti. I was like, you had spaghetti?
Hello?
He went over there and ate and everything. He just went over there and folks had invited him over for dinner and everything else. But that was just your all's personality. That's just weird. It's just you see things. I guess you see things. That's why you have different generations. So it helps you to see. Like I can see things now with Leia that I wouldn't have paid attention to with it's just any other thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's strange. I can see how shy she is, and she's really shy. And I remember people would come over. I would look at you because I was sizing you up. But if you came over and started talking to me and looking at me and all in my face and stuff, I would turn my head to you. I would just turn around and just go and hide my face. And they thought, oh, that's so cute. I'm just like, no, I just really don't want to talk to you. You know, I just want you to leave me alone. You know, as long as you just over there or somewhere else, then I would just pay attention and just absorb everything that I could. It's just,
and I think that I see a lot of that. My daughter, she is really I mean, she's going through a phase right now. She's a baby, so they go through that stranger danger phase.
Right.
But it's like what Chris and I see whenever no one else is in the room. Once she's been around people all day, it's like everything that she wishes she had said, she waits until bedtime to say all that stuff. So she's clapping her hands and dancing and doing all these things that she wishes she had done when people was in her face.
Right.
For her, it's the phase she's going through. Maybe she'll grow out of it, maybe not. But
I think
I think she will eventually.
Yeah, and I think she wants it to be a specific way. She wants to perfect her thing before she does it. She wants to get it together, and then she'll do it. You know, she want to. What did I hear them say? What is it's like when I was getting ready to get off the phone, then all of a sudden she want to talk. I was just like, okay, now you want to talk? She was like, no, but I don't want you to be looking at me like that. I don't want you to be talking to me. But yeah, okay, bye.
Right.
This is too funny. That's why you have children, to keep you young, keep your mind fresh and there. And so that's what I took away from our family gathering that we did. And I have, I'm not a sleeper. Since I left there, I've been sleeping. I mean, I have been sleeping at night, and I don't sleep at night. At 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm wide awake till like 9 the next day, and it's because my clock was off. But it's just like everything that I met, James' friend, and we were talking about, just the spiritual stuff, and it was just everything. We went for one thing, but God blessed it for another. And it was just, I look at it as it's sort of equilibrium. You got to have that space where you're just even, you're not always high and then you are always low. You got to have that equal part of you, and I see that now. Hold
on one second. Is that my phone that's going out, or is it everybody's phone? Because my phone keeps going out. Like I hear like half your message.
Mine is too.
Okay, all right. It might be your connection, Potter.
Oh.
Yeah, I hear it mostly when you're talking, but I don't know. I was saying hello last time. I don't think anybody heard me either. So I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything you were saying. I thought it was me because I talk with my hands, and sometimes I would have the phone up to my mouth, and then all of a sudden my hand up in the air. So that may be what you're hearing. But it's just we were talking. I don't know where you left off on the conversation, but we were talking about how it was a blessing. The whole thing. I just felt like you really didn't have to people always want to have a New Year's resolution. We walked into our resolution last year. When I got home, it was just like I didn't even realize that it was a new year. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize that I came home on New Year's Eve, and it was my mind was so full, and I love it, because I love it when my mind is just, you have so much to dissect and to get together, and I love that, and that's what I got when I was there. Even though I'm even scheduling a trip in March now. Yeah, I'm not going to just be sitting here like I've been doing now. And I remember James Francis was telling me, he was just like, because he was saying something to me, and I want you to be black and white. I want you to just spit it out, and that certain cultures don't do things like that. And he was just like, well, and I was just like, okay. And he said, let me say it like this. If let's say you can't see, that you're blind. He said, but your legs, but you still have legs. He said, does that mean that if you're blind, because you're blind, that you don't walk anymore? And I was just like, whoa. I was just like, okay. I had to think about that. I had to think about that over and over and over again, because I was equating my illness with my how do you say, with who and what I was, and it wasn't that. And so the whole thing was a blessing. The whole thing was something out of this world. Now we're out at 1 hour, so I'm not gonna keep on talking. I'm gonna let you all say what you all have to say. But when I say that I was truly blessed from that trip that I took, and I have not, and it totally changed my life. So I'm gonna turn it over to you all, because I'll keep on talking, and this will be another ending story.
Well, it was really refreshing for me. Like I said in the beginning, there's family members that we haven't seen in 20 years or more, really.
Yeah.
Reggie, my uncle's son, his oldest son, last time I saw him, he was younger than my daughter is now. So,
right.
He, he's in his 20s now. He's a whole full adult. So
yes.
It was really refreshing to see them and to get to know him, because I don't know him. I've seen pictures of him, but that was the first time I actually heard his voice as a man. And he's got a really sweet personality. He's really a loving person, and you can sense that when you talk to him.
Yeah.
And not just him, everybody. It was just nice to have everybody, have as many as we could, and it's under the same roof. I would have loved to have everybody there, but it just didn't work out that way. But what did happen, I thought, it was God's timing. It was meant to be exactly the way that it was. And it just felt, after the first, like I said, you got to break the ice. There's people who you haven't seen since they were little kids, like, Reggie's younger kids. I used to babysit them when they were little bitty, and now some of them are grown. So, you get to know them as thinking and reasoning adults, as opposed to having, a childlike mentality. So you get to know them all over again. But once, it's just a couple of hours of breaking the ice, and it was just like nothing had changed.
Nothing had changed. And that's love. I agree with that. Go ahead, James. I know you was getting ready to say something.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the experience. I mean, I love seeing everybody. I love having everybody over. I think next time I'll be a little bit more prepared for everybody. Because you got to think, I've been living in an apartment since forever.
Right.
So I'm used to just having my own space, and that's it. Like nobody else really coming in there like that. So, I mean, it taught me a lot about really trying to get prepared, trying to make the home more open to everybody else. But all in all, man, I just love seeing everybody there. I mean, like I said, it was really a good time at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We got to see everybody's faces. I mean, my uncle brought almost all his kids to the house, and it was a beautiful thing. So I loved it.
It was.
And I mean, next time, I'm hoping we could do it again with one of these next coming holidays.
Yes. I agree that's something that we shouldn't ever allow it just to not happen again, because it was a blessing, and I think everybody got what they needed to get from the experience. I really do.
Right.
And I think that's when you invite the Spirit in and you ask God to come in, things work differently. You know, it's you know, you've got to just be open and just let it happen, and that's basically what happens. You know, everybody, you open up your house, everybody, and you know, you did what you had to do. You know, I didn't even know that I ended up going over there to meet a couple of your friends, and we did that, and your mentor, and it was. I think you were open, and I think you had a lot of other things on your mind because you're trying to prepare and trying to make sure everybody. It's different when you're hosting someone and when somebody's coming to your house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And see, you were hosting. We were at your house, and so everybody was comfortable. Everybody was fine. So you did what you were supposed to do. You know.
Right. I appreciate that. No, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, right on down to little Leia. She went in and got her little but she went and got down there on the floor, and she was like, nah, they're not looking at me, so I'm gonna go in there. And then she just enjoyed herself. Leave her alone.
Leia's like, don't touch me. Don't you touch me. I am fine by myself. Where's my mom at?
She was like, she was at the corner. I see when you still looking at her. She was like, I know what you're getting ready to do, but don't you do it. Don't you do it. It was just funny.
I love that little girl, boy. I love that little girl.
Yes.
She's going to be a tough cookie, boy.
Yes. She ain't trying to play. She really when she looks at you, it's when I see a Leia, and I'm going to say this, because I am always in awe with her because she's such a little, and I told Tiffany this today, she's just such a little lady. She is just a little old lady. And she was just like, and she would look at you, and you look, and she really, whatever it is you're doing, she get it.
And she's very communicative. Like she says some words, but you understand what she's thinking about and what she's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yep. Just by her looks. She'll tell you a whole story.
Yes. And she's just like, it's just like, and you look at her and then you end up talking to her just like, it's a baby, but then you got to like, but she getting it. So you can't not talk to her. She's just too funny, but she want to go in her own space. She want to go at her own time. I didn't tell you to touch me. I didn't tell you to get in my face. I'm not gonna look at you right now. I know what you thinking, but it ain't gonna happen right now. And then she wanna do her own thing, and then she will come to you. Just like I still think she can walk. I do not believe that Leia cannot walk. She gonna do it when it's the perfect thing for her to do. Well, she won't have to be skipping and falling. She's not gonna have it. She's not gonna have it. It's gonna have to be perfect. And it's just to me, it's a blessing to even have children in the midst because it's God adding another. It's just like putting seasoning in something. Put another layer of seasoning on there. You know, everything tastes good, but it's all in their own little thing. You know, you do some goulash. You know, so I just love that. And so we enjoyed. We can sit here and talk to you for forever about and you still wouldn't get the totality of what the good time that we had. Everything was just easy, and it was just smooth, and it was just a easy. James ushered an easy spirit in there, and people can say what they want to say. That is something. Sometimes you can go in people's house, and they are so chaotic that you can't get calm. And so that wasn't that. You know, it wasn't that. It was just everything was. It was the way God meant it to be, and I love that, and I love you all, and I love just enjoying, just being around and just absorbing whatever it was that God was bringing it to me. And so I'm not going to keep on talking, because then I'll start talking and start crying, and I ain't going to start crying. So I'm going to say adieu, and that till we see you the next time, because I'm sure we'll still be talking about this on the next podcast. That and then some other things. But I'm going to turn it over to Tiffany and James, and then they can have the salutations.
All right. Well, family, thanks again for joining us. I hope we were able to just shed a little light on our family dynamic and bring a little bit of our love to you. I hope that your holidays were just as special. And feel free to hit us up on our Facebook page, leave us a comment, and you can also comment on our podcast site, Podbean. You can comment there as well. Let us know. Tell us your story. You can send us an email as well.
Yes.
James?
All right. I know if I'm ending with this, in this life that we are taught many things, but I challenge you to find what matters most, and that's Gnosis. Know your past so you can operate in the present to secure your future you always dreamed of. I love y'all.
Yes. I love you. And you all be blessed, and let God's peace be with you. And until next time, we say adieu.
All right.